So we'll hear from Rajesh Govinda Prabhu and family Kirtan today. Thank you, Prabhu.
Namaste, Saraswati Devi,
Jayati Krishna Chaitanya
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama
Hare Krishna, Hare Hari Bol.
All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the
Thank you.
assembled devotees.
Hare
All
Krishna.
glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to Shishi Guru and Shishi Gauranga.
Hari Bol. Hari Bol to Muktidatri Mataji and family. Wonderful Kirtan. Thank you very much.
Yeah, very, very wonderful.
Wonderful. Thank you again all for joining this Friday satsang. Today we have seems like a new devotee, Prem Madhurya Devidasi. Mataji, can you please introduce yourself? I'm seeing for first time, I guess.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, he is Ajit Krishna Prabhuji, I think.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Ajit Krishna, sorry. It was in a different name.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Danvat Pranam, all glories to Prabhupada.
Dandavat
Yeah,
Pranam.
I'm also joining Prabhu. I need the association.
Yes,
I'm generally busy at this time, but making this a priority.
thank you very much, Mataji, for taking some time.
No, thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. We need I need the association. Everyone does, but so do we.
That's very nice, Mataji.
Okay, Prabhu.
Thank you. So Ajit Krishna Prabhu is joining soon? Or?
Yes, of course.
Okay, until then we can recap last week's session. Sorry, I was not there last week due to some commitments, but if anyone can recap last week. Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Prabhupada. Jai.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj.
Dandavat Pranam, Jai Prabhupada.
Nice to see you after 2 weeks, Prabhu.
I know. Well, first of all, belated happy birthday to you, Prabhu. That day we just said a few mantras, you know.
Yeah. I hit half century, so.
Wow, wonderful. That is significant.
Silver
That
Jubilee.
is not significant. Actually, everybody is reminding me of my age. So, which is like, okay, you're becoming old. You're becoming old. They are reminding me. I always remember this sloka. That is my favorite sloka. My favorite, most favorite. That in Srimad Bhagavatam, you know. That's what I reply to them also. This Ayurarati Vaipumsa.
Which one?
Ayurarati Vaipumsa Udyanastam Channasau. Tasyarte Yatshanonita Uttama Sloka Vartaya. So that is
Achha.
so every rise and sunset, you lose you know, you're one day closer to death for non-devotees. For
Yes.
devotees, you're one day closer to Krishna.
Right.
There you go.
So
Exactly.
that's what always I say, because I'm not a devotee, so I always say I'm one day closer to death.
No. Hopefully, when we are all praying hard that maybe we just keep getting closer. Well, we are still getting closer to Krishna. There's no doubt about that.
We are trying. I'm trying actually. I can't say we. I can't speak on for others, but I myself am trying hard.
Well, and the fact that we are trying, that will take us closer to Krishna. Rest is up to him.
Yeah.
Yeah. We are holding the leg of Mukta Sangha Prabhu.
Yes.
That is why it is invisible now.
Yeah.
Good. So we'll quickly recap last week, Prabhu, at least for my
Yeah.
Yes,
please go ahead.
So who wants to go for it? Ram
You
Shyam
go,
Prabhu,
Prabhuji. I think you are ready.
Shiva Prabhu, who all attended last week? I don't know. I uploaded the video recording, but I myself, I didn't see.
I think Shiva Prabhu was there. Mataji, Shiva Prabhu, they were both there, and Sojanya Mataji was there too.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Ramshyam Prabhu, you were there?
I was there, Prabhu. I don't remember exactly. So
We are still discussing 6th chapter, right?
yeah,
Yes.
in the 6th chapter.
Okay. I remember like last a week before that, we stopped at okay, let me open that. Yata Deepo Nivasasto, at least that I remember.
Right.
Are we still there, or we proceeded further? Or how is it?
We went through 2021, so 2020 to 23, that was one group of verses, and we did 24 also.
Oh, nice.
So Ramsham, are you going or?
No,
Saujani
Prabhuji.
Mataji also joined.
I don't remember.
Saujani Mataji, welcome back. Do you want to recap last week's session?
Prabhuji, you're asking me?
Yes.
I'll skip this time, Prabhuji, sorry.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. So then Ajit Krishna Prabhu, you can just quickly recap and then we'll continue, Prabhu.
Yeah, I'll do that. Okay. So last time, basically, I'm just opening up the verses 20, 21, 22, 23.
I have it on my screen.
And 24. Yeah. So we had basically discussed a few points there regarding how the yogi should engage himself in the practice of yoga, and we touched upon. And so Krishna says with faith and determination, and he should not be deviated from the path. And so we basically discussed about how faith is a very important concept in the entire in our journey, in our spiritual journey, because there are many things that we do not know. And even in real life, I mean in everyday life rather, there are so many things that we do not know. But that doesn't mean that we don't accept them. We accept them because we hear about them from higher authorities. So same way in spiritual life also, because the Shastra is given to us actually by God himself, by Krishna himself, there should be no hesitation on our part to accept the teachings, because they're coming from authority. They are not just somebody's whimsical interpretations. These are coming from authority. And as long as we receive the instructions in the line of disciplic succession from a bona fide spiritual authority, then what we hear, what we read, should be accepted as the truth, even if we don't have experience about those things. So that was one of the main points that we discussed. And so in text 24, Krishna basically says that with determination and faith, if one pursues the spiritual path, he will not be deviated. And then, one should also try to strengthen the mind by spiritualizing the intelligence, such that material desires for sense gratification, all of those sorts of impediments on the path of spiritual progress are removed. So that's kind of the summaries that we had discussed. Okay, if not, then maybe we'll just I'll start with the invocation prayers and then we can continue with our reading and further discussion.
Sure, Prabhu.
Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Urmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamanam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathan Vidam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radhakanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Right. So we can start the reading for text 25.
Anybody wants to go for it?
Yes, Ji, I can read. Hare
Yes,
Krishna,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Prabhu, Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Thavuji. Go ahead.
Sanaya, Sanair, Aparmet,
Shane,
Buddhaya,
Sanair,
Apar me,
Buddhaya, Drishti, Gritaya,
Buddhaya Driti Grahitaya,
Atma Samstam, Manakripta,
Atma
Samsam Kritva,
Nakinchit Pai Sintaye.
Nakinchit Api Chintaye.
Translation, Prabhuji. Gradually, step by step, one should become situated in trance by means of intelligence sustained by full conviction, and thus the mind should be fixed on the self alone and should think of nothing else. Hare Krishna. Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Kaveri. Next verse.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Verse 6.26, Bhagavad Gita.
26. Yeah.
26. Yato yato nishalati manashchanchalam astiram
You're
tata.
responding, madam.
We have to repeat.
Yato yato nishalati
Yato Nishalati
manashchanchalam astiram
Manaschalam Astiram
tatas niyam yaitad
Tatasvato Nyam
atmanje eva vasam nayat.
Vishanayet.
Translation from wherever the mind wanders to its flickering and unsteady nature, one must certainly withdraw it and bring it back under the control of the self.
Thank you,
Oh.
Spurti. Thank you, Surat Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. Next verse, 27.
Anyone wants to go? Okay. Prashantamanasam hi yenam
Prashantamanasam
Yoginam Sukhamuttamam
Yoginam Sukham Uttamam
Upaiti Shanta Rajasam
Upayati Santa Rajasam
Brahma Bhutam Akalmasham.
Brahma Kalmasam.
Translation. The yogi whose mind is fixed on me verily attains the highest perfection of transcendental happiness. He is beyond the mode of passion. He realizes his qualitative identity with the Supreme, and thus he is freed from all reactions to past deeds. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Right, 26. So 25. Anybody else would like to read 25?
I can.
Hare Krishna. Go ahead, please.
Okay, go ahead.
Jane upar matid
Tanay,
Jane
tanay,
Tane Uparmai
buddhya dhriti grahatiya
Buddhya
Buddhya
Dhriti
Kriti
Grihitaya
Graditaya
atma samstan mana kritva
Atma
Atma
Samana
Samsam
Kritva
Kritva
na kinchid api chintayet.
Nakinchit
Nakinchit
Api
Api
Chintaye.
Chintaye.
Translation: gradually, step by step, one should become situated in trance by means of intelligence, sustained by full conviction. And thus the mind should be fixed on the self alone and should think of nothing else.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
Jai Hare Krishna.
Text number 26.
Go ahead, Prabhu.
Yato yato nischalati
Yato yato Nischalati
manas chanchalam asthiram
Manas Chanchalam Astiram
tatastato niyamyatad
Tatastato
Niyamam
Niyetad
atma naiva vasam nayet.
Atmani eva
Anaiva
vasamnayet.
Vasamait.
The translation by Divine Grace of Acharna Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah.
Jai.
From wherever the mind wandered due to its flickerings and unsteady nature, one must certainly withdraw it and bring it back under the control of the self. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. And last 27.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Go ahead, Prabhu.
Dandavat pranam Vishnu Prabhupada.
Jai.
Prashanta manasam hi enam
Prashanta manasam hi
yoginam sukhamuttamam
Yoginam Sukhamuttamam
upaiti santa rajarsa
Upati
Pariti
Santa
Shanta Rajasam
Rajasam
brahma bhutam akalmasham.
Brahma
Brahma
Bhutam
Bhuta
Akalmasam.
Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Yogi whose mind is fixed on me verily attains the highest perfection of transcendental happiness. He is beyond the mode of passion. He realizes his qualitative identity with the Supreme, and thus he is freed from all reactions to past deeds. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Okay, so then we'll start with the discussion.
Yes, Prabhu.
So, 25. Okay, so Shane Uparame Buddhyadriti Gritaya Atma Samstam Mana Kritva Nakinchidapi Chintaye. So, up until now, Krishna has basically explained to Arjun that, he should focus on controlling the mind and fixing the mind on Krishna. And since the name of the chapter is Dhyan Yoga, the focus is on how to get the mind attentively fixed on Krishna through the process of Ashtanga Yoga. Now, Dhyan means focus. And the idea here is that the Ashtanga Yogi, he focuses his mind on Krishna by following the process of Ashtanga Yoga, which is sitting in a solitary place, shutting the eyes, not really eating much, just being a yogi. So that is basically, in one sense, a process of complete disengagement. You're disengaging the body from its surroundings. You shut the eyes so that you don't look at anything material which might distract you. You don't talk to anybody. So you shut your ears so that you don't hear any mundane sounds. And that's why yogis go and meditate in a secluded, quiet cave or something like that. So it's a process of disengagement. And again, each time we discuss this, we keep emphasizing that, this process of disengagement of the senses is very difficult and it's very impractical in this age of Kali Yuga. And that's why Krishna, out of his kindness, even though this process of Dhyan Yoga is described, he says there is another way of accomplishing the same result that you can get from the Dhyan Yogi's activities by simply engaging in devotional service. Because devotional service is a process of engagement of the senses, while Dhyan Yoga is a process of disengagement of the senses. And disengagement is always more difficult. It was possible when people had lifespans of 10,000 years or 100,000 years, then they could accomplish success through these sorts of processes. But in the age of Kali Yuga, the process of engaging the senses has been recommended. The Bhagavatam also says, Kriteya Dhyato Vishnu, Tetayam Yajdomakhai Dwapare Paricharayaya Kalau Tad Hari Sankirtana. So in Kali Yuga, Hari Sankirtan is the recommended process for achieving the results or achieving spiritual advancement. And Kriteya Dhyato Vishnu. So in Satyug, this process of meditation was appropriate because people lived for 100,000 years. Their lifespan was very long. Their bodies were capable of being placed in a stationary position for years and without hardly eating anything and all that kind of thing. That was possible at that time. But the same result can be achieved in Kali Yuga through Hari Sankirtan. So, but the principles, meaning that what we can accomplish through process of Dhyan Yoga can also be accomplished through the process of Bhakti Yoga. And so that's what we'll focus our attention on. So here, and while we are discussing this, we are taking two parallel paths. One is discussing the process of Dhyan Yoga and how it helps control the mind. And then in parallel, we will discuss how the process of Bhakti Yoga, which is appropriate for Kali Yuga, will help us achieve the exact same results, but through a parallel process. Not through the process of disengagement, but through the process of engagement of the senses in Krishna's service. So here, then Krishna says, gradually, step by step, shaner, shaner. Shaner, shaner means gradually. One should become situated in trance by means of intelligence, sustained by full conviction. Now, sustained in trance or situated in trance. Situated in trance means that the mind is completely focused on Krishna. The mind is completely focused on God. And he says, how can that be accomplished? By means of intelligence, sustained by full conviction. So again, the primary driver of the state of trance is steady intelligence, spiritualized intelligence. And then that spiritualized intelligence is further sustained by conviction. Conviction that the process that I'm following is bona fide, it is correct, and it will bring me to and it will result in success. I will achieve my goal through this process. So that is the kind of conviction that is required. that conviction will help our intelligence remain steady. And when those things are in place, then thus the mind should be fixed on the self alone and should think of nothing else. So only then can the mind be fixed on the self, meaning the super soul within the heart, within our bodies, and on nothing else, meaning on no other distraction. So the yogi accomplishes this through the process of disengagement. The bhakti yogi engages this by engaging his mind in the service of the Lord, by engaging his senses in the service of the Lord. And in our previous, in one of the previous classes, we had read about the processes that Amrish Maharaj was following. He was engaging his hands in cleaning the temple, his legs in going and walking to places of pilgrimage, his eyes in seeing the form of the Lord, so on and so forth. So many different processes we had discussed. So that's the process of engagement. And so Krishna here is saying that progress in yoga obviously occurs slowly, but it occurs steadily. If a person follows it with determination, his progress will be steady. Now, because there's no question of achieving instant success, it's not as if today you decide that I'll sit down and start performing yoga, that tomorrow you will be a perfect yogi. No, it doesn't happen like that. So because it is not a process of instant success, that is why Krishna says gradually step one should become situated in trance by means of intelligence. That means that he is required to fix his intelligence and determination. Because if success could happen in one day, then the question of determination becomes less relevant. The question of conviction becomes less relevant. But when you have to practice something for years and wait for the result, then your efforts have to definitely be predicated upon conviction. Without conviction, you will not be able to last out for years and years and years and years. Now, how can that conviction be sustained? That conviction is primarily sustained through the process of hearing and chanting, Shravanam and Kirtanam. Just think about it in our own lives, in our own practical lives. We have all been chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. How many unique words are there in the Maha Mantra? It's 16 words, but how many unique words are there in the Maha Mantra?
Hare Krishna Rama.
3.
3. Only 3. Only 3. And when we are chanting, say 16 rounds a day, times 108, so we are chanting about 1700 and some, almost 1800 Maha Mantras every day for about 2 hours, 2+ hours a day. Just these 3 words, Hare, Krishna, and Ram. These 3 words are constantly going on repeating. And if you like, try this exercise. Think of any 3 words other than the ones in this Hare Krishna mantra. 3 words, any 3 words of your choice, and try repeating them for 2 hours a day. I challenge you to go past 5 minutes. If you can go past 5 minutes chanting 3 words repeatedly without getting fed up, then I think you're very special. But most people will be fed up in 5 minutes.
It will be punishment, Prabhuji. In the class, teacher has given punishment.
What is that?
It will be punishment, in the class, teacher has given some punishment, like you have to do.
But these Shaivites, they chant same 3 words continuously for more. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Those are also 3 words, but they chant continuously.
See, because that is the sound of the
Name of
Lord's
the Krishna again.
yeah.
No, but I'm saying, other than Mahamantra, there are other 3 words which really they also chant intensively. And
Yes, yes. See, Om also represents is sound representation of Krishna.
Yeah.
And Namo, of course, if we are offering obeisances, and Shivaya is to Shivji. So because Shivji, there's no difference. Basically, Shivji is just a transformation of Krishna. So it's the same. So that is why that's a bona fide set of 3 words, which is spiritual. So it leads to spiritual advancement. My point was just any mundane 3 words, which like I am going, or I am happy, or I don't know, whatever,
come to party.
right?
Coca-Cola, Fanta.
Yeah, just 3 words. 3 words, any 3 words which you think will make you happy, you recite those words repeatedly and you will feel it's a punishment. In fact, it reminds me back in when we started college first years, we were first year. So you go through hazing, ragging, So the seniors, they make you do all sorts of silly things, So there was one person, he was from Bombay and he came from a college called Jai Hind College. It's a very famous college in Bombay. And so one of the seniors said, "Oh, Jai Hind. Okay, very nice. So now you keep following and walking behind me wherever I go and keep saying Jai Hind, Jai Hind, Jai Hind." So this guy, in 5 minutes, he was so fed up. He like, how long can you keep on repeating the same thing? Like Ramshan Prabhu said, it becomes a punishment. But a spiritual set of 3 words, we know we chant these 3 words every day for 2 hours. It doesn't make us feel like we are going through any punishment. In fact, it makes you feel happy. It rejuvenates you. You're tired, you chant. It relaxes you. It does so many things. It's a stress reliever. It's a relaxer. It makes you happy. And of course, it helps us make spiritual advancement because of the transcendental nature, the bona fide nature of these 3 words. So this process of hearing and chanting sustains our conviction, because on a day-to-day basis, by chanting and hearing the Mahamantra, we are actually cleansing our mind of all the mundane thoughts that have accumulated for births upon births upon births in our mind. And those are being replaced by this transcendental sound. That's why it is so calming. There have been research studies done by various professors, and I forget the exact name of the study. I'll try to find and give you the reference, but they studied sound waves coming from various sounds, and they were recording the patterns in some sort of a machine which records the patterns that the sound waves make when different sounds are made. And they found that the Hare Krishna Mahamantra sound waves had a very uniform and calming pattern. So even when you look at it from a very scientific, materialistic way, there is evidence that the Mahamantra has the capacity, the tendency to benefit us in a variety of ways. Our mind becomes peaceful, our mind becomes calm. But the main thing is, if we chant with attention, of course, if your mind is running here and there will still be benefit, but the benefit will be even quicker and faster and more when the chanting is done with concentration and focus. So the idea is that here Krishna is saying that the yogi controls his mind and situates it on the self. How? Through intelligence and conviction. And so that's what is recommended for the Dhyan yogi. Now, our parallel track is that a bhakti yogi attains the exact same benefit of controlling the mind and fixing it on Krishna by means of intelligence sustained by full conviction, which is reinforced through the process of hearing and chanting. So while we just hear and chant and go on with our regular lives, we attain the same result that the yogi who has to go and sit in a cave and disengage himself from the world and then try and achieve this. So that's the beauty of the process of Bhakti Yoga. So then in the next verse, 26, Krishna goes into further description because he says that, yes, the mind is not easy to control. So that's why he says, yato yato nischalati manaschanchalam asthiram. So he's used 3 adjectives here to describe the mind. Chanchalam, that is, it is always flickering, going from one thought to the next to the next. Then nischalati. Nischalati means becomes easily agitated. Somebody says something to you that you don't like, immediately your mind becomes agitated. So easy. So nischalati, chanchalam, and third adjective is asthiram. Asthiram means unsteady. Sometimes the mind is feeling, oh, very happy. Sometimes, oh, I'm not so happy. All these are the characteristics of the mind. And he says, this is the way you can expect the mind to behave. And why he's listing out these characteristics, so that we are aware and so that we can then do something about it. And therefore he says, tatas tato niyam yaitad. Niyam yaitad meaning that regulating. Niyam, regulation. Atmani eva vasamnayet. And so he says, from wherever the mind wanders due to its flickering and unsteady nature, one must certainly withdraw it and bring it back under the control of the self. Now, as we had discussed many times in the past, if you think about that analogy of the chariot and the driver, the individual soul is the passenger in this chariot, and intelligence is the driver, and mind is the mind of the reins. So when he says that we should withdraw the mind and bring it back under the control of the self. So in other words, the reins should be controlled by the passenger. And how will they be controlled by a passenger? Through the driver, which is intelligence. So again, intelligence is the critical controller of the mind. That's the critical point as far as controlling the mind is concerned. Unless our intelligence is spiritualized, there's no question of controlling the mind. See, the mind is a gift to us by the Supreme Lord, but it is a very, it's a double-edged sword, because that mind, if it's engaged in the wrong way, it'll just keep dragging our intelligence to the wrong places. But if it is controlled by intelligence, if it is fixed upon Krishna, then the mind will help us purify ourselves. So the mind is very, very important. And the relationship between mind and intelligence is even more important to understand. So, so these 3 tendencies, unsteady, flickering, and nischalati, chanchalam, and asthiram. So third is become easily agitated. So these 3 tendencies have to be controlled. If we simply give in to the dictates of the mind and try to, because the mind will always say, okay, accept this, it'll be very pleasing to the senses. Accept that, that'll be very pleasing to the senses. Whether you think of food or any, like so many things you can think of, that the senses get attracted to, instead of seeing, or instead of, let's say, reading a book like we are reading now, Bhagavad Gita, if we were, if we are watching, I don't know, some violent movie or something like that, the mind will get filled up with all those violent thoughts. So the mind can be influenced very easily. That is the nature of the mind. So if we just give in to the mind, peace will not happen. That's why they say there's this phrase, peace of mind. Well, peace of mind is very key, but peace of mind will never come if you give in to the mind. You have to control the mind and move it in such a way that it doesn't get agitated. Otherwise, your mind will never give you peace. So if the mind is fixed upon service to Krishna, then only the mind will be peaceful. Otherwise, it'll always give in to its previous conditioning. And what is our previous conditioning? It's coming from previous lives, life after life after life. All those, you see, our desires, tendencies, those are all reflected in the mind. So if you think about it, there are so many different types of people in this world. Just taking an ordinary example, people react differently to different situations. Let's say if we are driving down the road and somebody sees, an accident, maybe, whatever. Somebody's thought process will be, they'll feel very sorry for it. Somebody's thought process will be, I couldn't care less. What does it mean to me? They're different thought processes. My point is everybody's reactions are different, and the reactions are a function of how your mind has been conditioned throughout your life. Your experiences influence your mind, and then you act accordingly. So when the mind is fixed on serving the Lord, then the mind becomes very peaceful, because it's actually doing what it's designed to do. Because people ask, okay, why is it that the mind will become peaceful if I engage it in service to Krishna? It's because that's what the mind is designed to do. When we do other things with the mind that is not designed to do, naturally there is a conflict. You are engaging it in something that it's really not designed to do. That's why there is loss of peace of mind. There's loss of tranquility. Otherwise, everybody should be very peaceful at all times. But we know that the opposite is the case. People are mostly not peaceful. And that's because most of us are engaged most of the time in everything other than service to God. So when we are not engaged in what we are designed to do, then naturally there will not be any peace of mind. So in that sense, it's a very, very simple concept. But application is where it becomes hard. So that was the idea of verse 26, that from wherever the mind wanders to its flickering nature, we should bring it back under the control of the self. And then in 27, 27 starts with the word prashanta manasam. Prashant means peaceful. But how peaceful? Shant means peaceful, but prashant means peaceful by being fixed on the lotus feet of Krishna. It's a big difference between the two. When the mind is peaceful by being fixed on the lotus feet of Krishna, by being fixed in service to God, then the mind cannot be agitated. When the mind is simply peaceful because it doesn't have any worry, then that peace will last only till a short period of time. When the next worry comes upon you, immediately you will be disturbed. And that's what we all struggle with. But for a person who's firmly situated in service to the Lord, the mind stays prashant. So the yogi whose mind is fixed on me verily attains the highest perfection of transcendental happiness. So why does the yogi whose mind is fixed through meditation on the super soul within the heart, upon Lord Vishnu within the heart, he becomes peaceful? Because he is not in the mode of ignorance. He's not in the mode of passion. The yogi then transforms his condition into state of goodness. And that's why he becomes very peaceful and happy. But the devotee, and so the yogi achieves this by disengaging the senses from what's going on around him. But the devotee doesn't disengage, he engages the senses in the service of the Lord. And therefore the mind becomes happy, not by just being in goodness, but eventually rising to Shuddha Sattva, meaning above the mode of goodness also. So that's why being fixed in the service of the Lord is repeatedly recommended as the goal for all aspiring spiritualists. Anybody who's on the spiritual path is advised repeatedly and strongly to engage his mind and senses on the service of the Lord. So Krishna says that he is beyond the mode of passion. He realizes his qualitative identity with the Supreme, and thus he is freed from all reactions to past deeds. So this is for the yogi. The yogi is situated above the mode of passion, which means he's in the mode of goodness. But then Prabhupada explains that the bhakti yogi surpasses even the mode of goodness. So undoubtedly, the yogi experiences happiness by being in the mode of goodness, but the bhakti yogi can experience even higher happiness and more permanent happiness by being situated in the service of the Lord. And what happens? He's freed from all reactions to past deeds. So that's what the yogi achieves. How does the devotee achieve freedom from reactions to past deeds? In a nutshell, it is because he has cleansed his mind of all the influences from his past lives. But what we'll do is in the next class, Krishna willing, next week, I'll explain this whole process of like a little diagram will help because it's hard to explain otherwise. This whole process of reaction and action and reaction to past deeds. How can that be stopped? How can that cycle be stopped? So the Brahma Bhuta state, Prabhupada says, is the state of being freed from material contamination and situated in transcendental service of the Lord. To be engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord or to remain in Krishna consciousness is to be factually liberated from a mode of passion and all material contamination. So by engaging our mind in the service of the Lord, not simply disengaging it from the world, but engaging it in the service of the Lord, the mind is not only cleansed, but it continues to work, but in the right way. And it keeps our entire existence situated in serving the Lord. From a practical perspective, it's not hard. Prabhupada says in many of his purports that if we mold our life in such a way that throughout the day, 24 hours, we think of Krishna, then we'll stay in Krishna consciousness throughout. And that is possible. How when you wake up in the morning, you think of the Lord, you offer prayers to the Lord, take Krishna bath and everything, do your prayers, do your morning program, you're chanting. How much time goes by in thinking of Krishna? Then when we eat food, it is food offered to Krishna. Before eating, we say a prayer, praising the Lord, thanking him for the food. So again, our whole process of eating becomes a yajna rather than simply just a mundane activity. We do prayers in the evening, we offer aartis in the evening, we do our morning program. Throughout the day with chanting, then we work also. After that, we get some time, we do some reading. We have some free time like we have now, we are discussing Krishna Katha. So there are so many opportunities, so many ways in which we can engage ourselves during the course of the day very easily, very simply, in ways that remind us of Krishna. What we are doing now is reminding us of Krishna. And all of these help us make spiritual advancement. So I'll stop here, Prabhuji, Mataji. Other questions, comments that you like, we can do that now. Yes, Prabhuji.
You're breaking up here and there too. So can you hear me?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. You were breaking up here and there a little bit. That's fine. So Prabhu, in verse number 25, one thing I don't understand is that, let me take the translation. So he says, gradually, step by step, one should become situated in trance by means of intelligence, sustained by full conviction. And thus, the mind should be fixed on the self alone and should think of nothing else. So, what does this implicate, Prabhu? The self alone. That means, do we have to think about ourselves or the Supreme who is within us? Is that what does it mean?
Yes, it means the Supreme who is within us, the Paramatma within us, because the yogi's goal is to focus on the Paramatma within him. Am I clear, Prabhuji, or am I breaking up or anything?
No,
Yeah,
now
we
we
can
are
hear
clear.
it, Prabhu.
Now we are clear.
Okay. So as you notice, Prabhuji, in the translation, the word self is in capital S.
Okay.
So that is the super soul, the Paramatma within the heart. So Krishna is saying that the Dhyan Yogi, he meditates upon the Paramatma within the heart. And that's why it's saying, thus the mind should be fixed on the self alone and should think of nothing else.
Oh, okay.
Again, that's the process of disengagement, right? You're not thinking of anything else except the Paramatma within the heart.
But in one of the verse, Prabhu, in Srimad Bhagavatam,
Uh-huh.
where it says Dharma Projita Kaitavotra Paramo Nirmatva. So in that purport, even the Ashtanga yogis, Gyanis, all the processes, everything you have to give up. Okay. So even they, now according to this verse and in this chapter, the Jnanis, the yogis are given the highest preference. That means how they control the mind and how they, they can attain Krishna by controlling the mind, all that, right? But in Srimad Bhagavatam, it's a little contradictory that there it says abandon all kinds of religious practices. Okay. So only the devotional practice. If that is the case, why so much prominence is given here
To
yogis and jnanis? So it's not discussed about bhaktas at all.
Right. But if you notice, Prabhupada keeps bringing in that angle of bhakta, right, in the purports. So Krishna is explaining the process of Dhyan Yoga here. He's talking about what the yogis do and what they accomplish. So the yogi meditates on the Paramatma, and super soul realization is the highest that the yogi can go. You see, and the jnani can only, impersonal realization, the highest they can go. So these are different processes that are there, and Krishna is describing them. But then that's why in Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 18, then he says to Arjun, right, Sarva Dharman Parityaja Mamekam Sharanam. So he's referring to all these other processes that he has described. He says, I'm describing to you all these different processes because not everybody will take to bhakti. And you will come across different spiritualists following different practices. And so I'm giving you the relative position of all of these different spiritualists. The Gyan Yogi or the Gyani will accomplish this result, impersonal realization. Yogi, he will accomplish super soul realization. But the Bhakta will get the benefit of both of those, as well as he'll get my personal association, which is the highest. And Bhagavatam, you rightly said, Prabhuji, it only focuses on devotional service because Bhagavatam's purpose, Vyasdev's purpose in writing Srimad Bhagavatam was basically to just focus on bhakti. Because when he wrote the Vedas, he described all of these other processes as well. But then when he summarized all of them, that what is the point of following all of those? The point of following all of those is to develop bhakti. And therefore, then
Now we are breaking up completely.
Srimad Bhagavatam, he only focused on bhakti. So I hope that helped. Haribol Prabhu, now can you hear me?
Yeah, Prabhu.
Now it's okay, but at the end you broke up a lot.
So I was just saying that in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the whole focus is on bhakti, because Vyasadev's purpose of writing Srimad Bhagavatam was that in the Vedas he had already described all these other processes, but he said the goal is to bring people from different levels gradually to raise them up to the level of bhakti. Because bhakti, he said, is the highest. And therefore, in Srimad Bhagavatam, he only focused on bhakti. And he said, those who are interested in bhakti, who've understood that bhakti is the highest of all the processes, then they don't have to study the Vedas. They just need to, they can come straight to Srimad Bhagavatam.
Yeah. Makes sense, Prabhu. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome, Prabhuji. Other thoughts, questions?
No one else?
Yeah, nobody has any
Okay.
Yeah, Prabhuji.
questions.
I'm listening to.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Shravanam Kirtanam.
Aditi.
Shravanam is the best process.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
So mind, Prabhu, mind, that mind is the storehouse for everything. So that carries in the next life also. So somebody
Yeah.
was describing about the mind, M-I-N-D. So mind means, M means what it does is it's magnify the things, means whatever the problems come, it makes bigger problem. M. And second, it makes imagination, just imagine. M-I, then N, it makes negativity kind of things.
Yeah.
So, and D is for something, I don't remember now. So in that way, I mean, we just, whatever the things we see, like the image that there will be a small problem, we'll start planning here and there, so many things, so we will make bigger problem. So
Yes.
so similarly, so if we engage ourselves in the sense of when we are in the material platform, so these all things happen. When we engage ourselves in the Krishna service, so everything, as Prabhupada says, like we have to regulate things and we have to give up the material things. Automatically, things will be Krishna centric, and those all things will be unearthed, kind of, because of these all things are happening because of anartha. So those will be slowly given up, and kind of bhakta, pure bhakta kind of things happen, and mind will be totally under control and totally centric to Krishna. So overall, I mean, mind is so like later on, I think we will come to that verse, right, in this chapter only. Chanchalam himana Krishna pramati balbhadram.
Correct.
So that one. So mind is, if it is under control, it's a friend. If it is not controlled, that will become enemy. So yeah.
Right. Exactly. Double-edged sword, right? Can be your greatest friend or your worst enemy.
Yeah. Nice project. It was nice class. It was very realizable. I was realizing that. No. So I have made some notes also. 2 points were very important. That is my takeaway. That devotee attains same result by fixing the mind on Krishna or by chanting process and all, which yogi can attain by doing throughout the life his tough yoga kind of things. And yogi achieves happiness by doing those yoga process, which devotee attains more happiness by engaging the mind in Krishna service. Yeah, that is
Because
yeah.
because the yogi's mind, I mean the devotee's mind is then engaged not only in. So actually, I'll just expand on that a little bit, Prabhuji, because it's an important point, and I'm glad you brought it up. See, the yogi feels satisfied and he's happy with the happiness that he's experiencing. So he's happy with his own situation. He's saying, okay, now I'm happy, right? But the devotee, his focus is on not just pleasing himself, his focus is on pleasing Krishna.
Correct. Yeah.
So when Krishna is pleased, then we are pleased through Krishna permanently. So that is why the happiness that the bhakta achieves is more, actually is higher, and it's everlasting as compared to what the yogi achieves, which is basically trying to make himself happy. Whereas the bhakta is trying to make Krishna happy, therefore the devotee is happy.
Yeah.
It's like the analogy, when you water the root of the tree, all the parts of the tree are satisfied. So we are designed to serve Krishna. So when we serve Krishna, the happiness we experience is permanent.
Devotee is understanding the position, constitutional position, whereas the yogi is not understanding. He is thinking himself as the, like he thinking like the God is the Brahma Bhuta kind of. So
Correct. Correct. You see, and so all of our philosophy and all of these verses that we read, Vedic verses, they can all be divided, as you know, within a framework of Sambandh, Abhideya, and Prayojan. So if we understand the Sambandh, meaning that we are servants of Krishna, Krishna is God, and we are servants, we are supposed to serve him, then naturally all of our activities become aimed at pleasing Krishna, and that is the Abhideya part. So what we are reading here right now, sit down, meditate, engage your senses in Krishna, that is all the Abhideya part.
right.
And by doing that, what will we achieve? We will achieve the goal, which is the Prayojan. And the goal is that we will attain kingdom of God, we will be happy.
Yeah.
But if we understand, but in order to achieve that goal, we have to understand Sambandh. We understand Sambandh, then we'll engage in Abhideya. And when we do Abhideya properly, then we'll get the Prayojan, we will get the result.
Yeah.
But the yogi doesn't have that Sambandh Gyan.
Right. Right. It's not
Because Sambandh Gyan is missing, he doesn't achieve this Prayojan. His life is focused around Abhideya only.
Yeah. Nice, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Welcome. Thank you. It's very nice question.
Interesting point, Prabhu. Thank you.
Oh, what is that, Prabhu? Sorry.
That's very interesting point you shared. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I
Well,
think
yeah.
no.
Yeah, actually, it's very interesting that our entire philosophy can actually be viewed through the framework of Sambandh, Abhideya, and Prayojan. And then within Abhideya, there is this the framework of always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. All our regulations are basically focused around that concept. So with these two basic frameworks, we can actually get a very good understanding of our scriptures, where they lie within this framework and what they are going to get us.
Prabhuji, since we are talking about Sambandha, Avideya, and Prayojana, so I wanted to little explore in that. I mean, when we talk about Sambandha, so in Vrindavan, the principal deity, that Mother Mohan deity, right? So Sambandha, presiding deity, the Mother
Right.
Mohan deity, and then Abhideya, Govindji, and then Prayojana, Gopinathji. So how this deity specifically, because all three are Krishna only.
Right.
So how this deity means one is focused on, one is presiding deity for Sambandha, Madan Mohanji, and how Madan Mohanji is different from Gopinath, what Govindji, and then how Govindji is different from Gopinathji. So can you please explore in that little? So,
Well, Prabhuji, that is actually, that basically just relate. You are absolutely right. Krishna is Krishna. In all three of the deities, Krishna is the same.
Yeah.
But it relates to the pastimes by which those deities manifested themselves. So
Okay.
Madan Mohanji appeared to Sanatan Goswami, and he has focused, his teachings have focused initially to help us understand the sambandh with Krishna. So that is why the deities are considered representative of Sambandha Gyan.
Okay.
And so similarly, Govindji and Gopinathji, but I'll get you more detailed answer to that question. It's a little bit longer, and we are already kind of
Yeah,
nine now,
Yes,
so I don't
Prabhuji.
want to get to that topic
Sure.
at
Thank you,
this
Prabhuji.
point. But that's a very good question, Prabhuji, and we'll keep it for the next discussion, if you all like.
Sure, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
And also, this whole thing of how the suffering is stopped, which was mentioned here in verse 27. And thus he is freed from all reactions to past deeds. So we can touch upon that also the next time.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you.
Okay, Prabhuji's,
Thank
Mataji's.
you very much, Prabhu. for
Thank you all.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Ji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
wonderful-
Thank you, Mataji.
Patitanam Pavaneभ्यो Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Sanskrit Vaishnava ki jai. Shri Prabhupada.
Ki
Jai,
jai.
Jai.
Thank
Hare
Hare Krishna.
And
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you.
30th is the Lord Ram Navami.
Jai. Yeah.
Yeah. Please visit your temples, nearby temples, whoever. Okay, thank you, Prabhu.
Okay, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Dandavatam.
Hare